Hello and a very warm welcome to our 12th webinar series that gives you with actionable insights and energy to lead at your very best in this crisis. Kia ora to our very loyal participants in New Zealand, and buenos dias to Fiona out there in beautiful Chile, where it's 5 a.m. It's a pleasure to have you on board. We started our leadership journey 6 weeks ago by helping you boost your stamina and your mind's sharpness. And then we shared leadership fundamentals to lead well in a crisis. And then 2 weeks ago, we unpacked some coaching skills that can help you bring out the best of your people and best thinking from them one-on-one. Today, we complete the job and we help you unpack collective intelligence in your teams. We're going to talk about many things: football and Albert Einstein. We're going to talk about classical music and rock stars. And I'm going to have the joy to interview Mr. Apiwood Pimal Singh Suriya, who is not only a fantastic coach and leader of a business, but also an avid football player. Just before that, you remember last time I invited you to go and watch a movie with me. Today, I invite you to go and watch a concert with me. And I want to bring to you two orchestra conductors, in fact, who are very different. And here they are, number one and number two. So number one here, and number two, now you can see them. And the difference is one of them produced the most enjoyed music ever. And you're going to have to decide which one it is by watching them play with their orchestras a little bit of music. And then I'll tell you how it's related to our theme today of collective intelligence. Here we go to the concept. Watch well and then vote for number one or number two if you think number one or number two has produced with his orchestra the most enjoyed music ever. Here we go. And that was it. So number one or number two, let's see the results of the polls. And number two is a clear winner, and you are absolutely right. Number two became super famous and very rich, which is very rare in the profession. He could afford a yacht, a palace, a helicopter, a plane, and many luxury cars, in fact. And that's because at one stage in his career, he decided to stop micromanaging and instead giving a chance to his musicians to tell the story of the music together in a very empowering leadership style. And what happened next is that the musicians had to listen to each other, really play together and unleash wonderful music. And that, of course, is a metaphor for collective intelligence in the business. And that's why I wanted to start our talk today with this, in fact. And of course, it leads to a first insight I wanted you to take away, which is detect and exploit metaphor as you unleash collective intelligence with your team. And by metaphor, I mean, for instance, saying the world is melting when you see that picture, or perhaps saying I'm conflicted between what my heart and my mind are telling me. I'm trying to balance that, and it's difficult, right? Or perhaps saying, the ecosystem of our planet is like a Jenga game, right? And that, of course, helps activate the right brain. And we'll come to that a bit later. But for now, I wish to move to milling the metaphor of football for the world of business. And that is where I have the great pleasure and honor to interview Mr. Appiwood Pimal Singh Surya today. In fact, Kun Appiwood, thank you so very much for your precious time. You're such a busy man. You are the founding partner of remarkably successful Slingshot Group in Thailand, a leading HR consulting firm that is offering its value proposition to Indochina markets. And your group offers total solutions of high quality for organizational and people development, combining international expertise and local understanding with that mission and commitment of enabling leaders with world-class leadership. And Kun Appiwood is a man of many lives, one that I admire deeply. He's obviously a business person. He's a leading leadership coach, and he's also an avid football player. And that is part of the charm of inviting Kun Appiwood today to the show, in fact, to mill the metaphor of football with his insights into the world of leadership. Kun Appiwood, thank you very much for joining us today. We're so happy to have you on board. So P. Appiwood, as a successful leadership coach and a passionate football player, I'm wondering, what have you learned playing football that can be applied to the field of leadership in the business world?
Thank you. So I think actually any kind of sport can be applied to leadership and management skill. But because I like to play football, so I will use football as an example. Well, actually, there are so many observations that I believe can apply to leadership world. But because of the time limitation, may I raise 3 observations from my personal perspective. First, there are different levels of leaders in the football. The most 2 obvious leaders level in football games are coaches, or some football club might call them managers. So for this conversation, I will call managers, and also team captains. So managers and team captains has different responsibilities. Managers are responsible for game planning, looking at big pictures, grooming future players and the current ones, and also planning for the future of the club. But team captains, on the other side, are responsible for solving immediate problems, motivating other team players, giving out instructions to other players while they are in the field. So you can see the difference. And we can see that the responsibility of these 2 leaderships level are different. One is to see the big pictures of and focus on the futures, and other is to see day-to-day operations and also focus on present. Although these 2 leaderships level have different responsibilities, they share the same goal of winning. So in business, I think it's quite similar. CEOs, MDs, executive teams can be thought of as managers in football game, and frontline supervisors can be thought of as team captains. In football, like in football games, leaders in business have different responsibility, but they must have alignment and have clear common goal, which is win the game. Secondly, I believe that the behavior of leaders have impact on the moral of the team members. In football game, we will see that manager must be outside of the field. So when the team plays poorly and tend to be defeated. Managers might get upset and frustrated, but because they are kept outside the field, so the impact of the behavior is not that high. While comparing to the behavior of the team captains who is in the field, I believe that the behavior that the captains act in the field has higher impact to the team moral. So in football, everyone must know two superstars. So I will take them as an example. One is Cristiano Ronaldo, who is the team captains of the Portuguese national football team. And the other one is Lionel Messi, who is the team captain of national Argentina soccer team. I think many of you know them, and I think Jean-Francois might know them. Um, you can see that Ronaldo and Messi are leaders in two different teams, and we can take a look at their leadership practice as an example. Um, from my observation, both Ronaldo and Messi share a similarity is in that they don't scold their team players and blaming when team are in difficult situation. But the difference between Ronaldo and Messi is that when Ronaldo's team losses, we can notice that he encourages, motivates, advise his team on how to play better. But when Messi team losses, we can see that he explicitly shows his disappointment by signing or shaking his head or even kneeling down in the field sometimes. So even though Messi doesn't score his team when things gets worse, but how he demonstrates his behavior impacting the moral of the team. So in business, I think the same. Upper level management's behavior has less impact on employee than frontline managers' behavior because they are closer to the staff and employee. So therefore, when developing leaders, we cannot only develop top level leaders, but also middle and frontline level leaders as well. The mistake that I observe a lot of businesses make is that they don't understand the impact of middle and frontline level leaders on employee, and therefore they don't invest enough to develop them. And last but not least, the third point, one of the most important aspects of being a team captain or leaders is people skills. People who are chosen to be team captains are most likely talented players. Some of them are superstar in the game. They tend to be mature, which means that they control their emotion quite well. And maybe sometimes some of them have seniority in the team. But I think that is not often enough. A team captain has to not only be good at managing themselves, but I think they need to be good at managing other people as well. So this factor is the determinant. This factor is determining factors that many clubs fail to emphasize on when they select team captains. And I believe there is no difference in businesses. Many companies choose to promote the highest performing individual, but fail to consider his or her people skill. So many times we will see that many high performing employees become poor leaders because they lack of people skill. So therefore, it is no surprise that sometimes we see many businesses lose high performing employee and instead get a lousy supervisor. So I think these are the three observations that I would want to make at this stage.
And three golden nuggets. Thanks very much, Pierre-Put. And I'm so grateful that you really milled this metaphor, right, of football, which is so very inspiring and applicable to all of us in business. Thank you very much, Pierre. We would. And now I would like to share with you 6 tips that will help you catalyze collective intelligence in your team and enhance their collaboration and agility. And the first one seems very simple, but I'll be very concrete about how you can really make it happen. And it's about making brainstorming safe and collaborative. So here are some practical ways to make this happen. And the first one, of course, is to to role model authenticity, humility, and vulnerability. And you heard me say that 2 webinars ago, and in the previous webinar as well. It's so very important because it empowers your team members to also be themselves, be humble rather than playing Superman or Superwomen, yeah, and vulnerable, and therefore really open to others. Yeah. Then you've got to establish a safe space, of course, and make sure that everybody understands there is no right or wrong answers. In fact, there are only helpful answers, right? World of business is far too complex for any idea to be right or wrong. Different perspectives can have them right or wrong in different contexts, right? You've got to use your coaching skills, and our previous webinars gave you some practical tips you can use in crisis time to have them really be very productive. And something important you want to do also is to boost your team members' self-esteem and make them shine along your brainstorming sessions. And I'll come back to that in a very short while. Something I want to invite you to do, and it's great fun and super helpful, is actually play a game from improv comedy. And it's the yes and game. Yes and is a very collaborative approach, in fact. And how you play that is you bring your people together in a circle if you are in a room, and otherwise you can do that remotely also with this instruction. We're gonna all answer a question or just share ideas about a problem, one after the other. And after the first guy in our team will have said his or her idea about the situation, then the next one will continue and start by saying yes and then once the second fellow has shared his or her idea, then the third fellow will say yes and bring in his or her idea. And I invite you to complete at least 2 rounds, because the more rounds you do, the deeper insights you get, right? And that's, like I said, a lot of fun and super, super useful. One more tip is, as I've said earlier on in another webinar, in brainstorming, go for quantity, not for quality. Yeah, get as many ideas as possible and then sort them out, right? And another practical thing you can do that helps a lot is to rotate facilitators. Now, with tip number 2, I'm going to take you to the world of rock and roll. Yeah, and it's in relation with this important thing, which is highlighting team members' unique talents and make them shine. So why does it matter? Well, Albert Einstein said, everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. And the Eagles, you know, the rock group that has been touring the world for 49 years, kind of almost non-stop, right? With their Hotel California song as one of the most famous one in their repertoire. Well, they have found over the years a way to catalyze great teamwork, whereas in their first few years, they were quite egocentric. In fact, and the secret to their great teamwork is in the video I'm going to show you.
We all have sort of distinct personalities and distinct musical personalities, and I think that keeps it interesting for our fans.
I think we're playing and we're performing much better these days than we did in the 70s.
Don is our chief vocalist and our chief lyricist.
He's a great poet and he's a great singer.
Just love singing with other people and finding harmony parts and blending and coming in at the same time, and scooping and cutting off right, and you know, it really is a lot of fun.
Glenn as a musician is very creative with actual musical parts and arranging.
We're still doing variations on a theme. We're still playing these songs, but I think we're getting better at playing these songs.
In fact, one of his nicknames is the Lone Arranger.
There's more nuance, there's more listening to each other on stage going on now than there was when we played in the 70s.
And with this, I rest my case, right? Now, next tip also involves Albert Einstein, backed by popular vote, I suppose, right? He said the formulation of a problem is often more essential than its solution, which may be merely a matter of mathematical or experimental skills. He also said, if I had only 1 hour to solve a problem, I would probably invest 55 minutes into finding the key question I need to answer to solve the problem, and then the last 5 minutes would be enough to solve the problem. So my invitation to you is define the problem you're trying to solve, and in different ways. First, describe the problem in different ways to cue the memories of team members, right? Say to be practical, finance department says our sales revenues are dropping. Then invite people to define the problem from different departments. Perhaps the sales people will say, yeah, competition is gaining market share with aggressive pricing. And then perhaps you interview salesmen on the field, and they will tell you, the new client approval process plus all the other approval processes you have in place are so heavy and lengthy that we don't have time to complete it, that our customers are gone to someone else already, in fact, right? And then perhaps you want to bring in customers, and a young one will tell you, well, you know, grandpa, grandma, your product are probably cool, but totally not our generation. They are so out of date, right? And maybe marketing will say, hey, our investment in trade marketing is so low as compared to competition. And then you will mill more views of the problems, right? And nail down perhaps the core problem, which could be perhaps that our value proposition does not tap anymore into the current market potential. And then you have a real quality problem statement that you can all work with. And then my invitation is give time to every team member to put together her and his ideas about potential solution for the problem. So they do that separately for a few minutes or even more if necessary. And then only then do they come together to think how they're going to solve the problem, right? So that avoids the risk of groupthink, which tends to align too quickly people's way of thinking about a problem. Yeah, now, I have another tip I want to share with you, and that's about activating the right brains. I briefly mentioned about the importance of metaphors, and they do that, right? And then Einstein, again, our guest star today, said imagination is more important than knowledge for many good reasons. He also said the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. However, we have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. So let's go activate our right brains right here and right now. Yeah, that right side that is so colorful and so very rich. And my invitation is that you can try to do that by yourselves with your teams by using pictures to trigger the creative minds of your team members. In fact, here is a collection, and I'm going to experiment with you live by showing you this picture and asking you the question. Let this picture inspire you one idea that can help you strengthen your business during this crisis. And then please write it in our chat box. Oh my, so many different ideas are coming up. Look at this. Wow, phenomenal. So this is the start of your collective intelligence around 5 continents emerging, right? Oh my, wow, what a gift. Thanks very much, everyone, for playing the game. That is awesome. And I invite you perhaps to copy-paste the chat box, right? So that you can consider the ideas of your fellow participants on this webinar tomorrow and see, hey, what can I get inspiration from here? There's so much. Thank you very much for playing the game with me. Now, I want to offer two more tips. One is about simply sometimes standing up and moving. I mean, standing up really, right? And moving when you feel stuck in problem resolution, because you will benefit of what happens in the brain when you change your spatial position. In fact, new ideas just pop up. I don't know why, but it works. And I use that a lot in my executive coaching practice, actually. And tip number 6 is let fears and unmet needs be heard and transform them into actionable insights, right? So that's particularly important in crisis time, in fact, because fears and unmet needs can cripple the quality of our thinking. So how do you do that? Very practically, well, drawing from great practices from great companies I've worked with over the years, right? Some leaders will ask, okay, hey guys, what should we be afraid of? And then the fears will come up, yeah? And then what do we need to succeed that perhaps we do not have yet? And then the unmet needs will surface, yeah? And then, of course, they want to shift from fear statement, unmet need statement to solution focus, right? And they may ask, okay, having said all of that, what intelligent solution could decrease this fear of ours or meet those unmet needs we have, right? And to perhaps have even more chance that people do focus on solutions, right? You could play the game to ask your team members to complete the sentence, you know? Please complete the sentence. Because I have this fear, I'm going to do 3 things, asking for quantity. Okay, yeah, 1, da-da-da, 2, da-da-da, 3, da-da, and then you'll have even more great things to look from. Yeah. Now, with this, I'd love that you have a chance to read an article I wrote for Forbes about catalyzing your team's collective intelligence with 5 practices for crisis time. You'll find more depths about some of the ideas I've shared with you, and I hope you will enjoy the article. Having said that, we have reached that time and earned it where Jonathan joining us to stretch us from FitDAO Corporate Wellness. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for being with us again and giving us a chance to take care of our well-being at work. Jonathan.
Hello everyone, welcome for the 4th video of our series, How to Reduce Negative Impact of Office Syndrome. Today I'm going to present you the 4th exercise. For this exercise, it's going to be very simple. I will just need a chair, all right? I'm going to bend forward, unlock my knees, maintain my back straight. Then I'm going to bring my hand to my ear, and I'm going to go for a rotation, an external rotation, and I will try to look at my elbow all the way along. And then I hold the position for a couple of seconds. And then I come back. I go again for a second round, and I try to stretch this area as much as I can. Okay? And I hold it for a couple of seconds again. And then I do it a 3rd time. Back straight, and every time I open my chest like that, I try to breathe out at the same time. All right. I show you on the other side, still same position. I maintain my back flat, okay? And then I go for an external rotation. And then I come back. 2nd round, external rotation. And then I come back. 3rd time, external rotation, and then I come back. If you're very flexible, you can try to do it with an open arm like that to really increase the stretch. Okay, so go for 3 times on one side, 3 times on the other side. I hope you enjoyed this little video and see you all in the next video for the fifth exercise.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. What a privilege to have you come with us each and every time. And now we are going to go with two more things I would like to share with you, and then to the Q&A with P. Happywood. So first, I'd love to share with you traits of a collaborative leader, and that's something I hope you can discuss with your team. In the spirit of sports, which is one of the underlying themes today we have, right? I'd love to talk about Olympic medals, in fact, and give a bronze medal for the basic yet worthwhile collaborative behavior, which is the one of the person that brings out his or her best to the team. Yeah. Now there is silver, and silver is going to be for the person who, in addition, brings others' best. And then there is gold, and gold is going to go for the person who brings his or her own best and also works out how to help others play at their best. And in addition, help the team performs at its best by, for example, observing that the dynamic is not quite right. Perhaps some people are silent, or there is an elephant in the room that nobody is talking about, and yet we need to talk about it, right? And then there is platinum in this special game, and that is for the person who, in addition, will have at heart and in mind the organization's best interest, right? It can be very good. You have a discussion with your team, I think, about where you are as a team, and where could you perhaps adjust the way you play together to create even more value together. Now, something more I wanted to share with you also, and in the same spirit of igniting a discussion with your team, are traits of an agile leader. So to me, an agile leader is someone who is an eager learner, keen to experiment, comfortable not knowing, learning from mistakes, versatile thinker, thinking from different perspectives, and a courageous decision maker, because we've got to move, right? Agility implies sufficient speed for progress, right? And that means at some times we've got to make a decision, right? Now, I'd love that to suggest that perhaps with your team, you look at this and you ask your team members to perhaps discuss where they see they can do better, or they can do even more of this or that, right? With all of that, we are coming to our Q&A, and with my guest today, P. Happywood again. And here we come to the Q&A session with P. Happywood and all of you, and I want to thank you all for your many questions in the Q&A box. So, Teddy, what's up?
Thank you, Jean-Francois. The first question we have is for Mr. Happywood. Mr. Happywood, from your experience in playing football and coaching, do you have any words of wisdom for leaders out there who want to become better?
Thank you, Teddy. Yes, I would say yes. I would like to share 3 key things for leader who wants to become a better leaders. First, I would suggest that leaders should always celebrate small successes along the way. For example, when football teams compete, they don't wait until the end of the game to celebrate a victory. But every time someone in the team scores, you can see they celebrate this small success. So you can copy them and do the same in your team. Second, measure the success of each role differently. Don't reward only those players who score. Every player in the field has different responsibility. So the goal of the team is not that everyone in the team need to make a goal. Therefore, it is not fair to use the same yardstick to measure success for everyone. For example, the goalkeeper should not be measured based on the number of scores that he makes, because that is not his responsibility. And third, last but not least, be clear about your role. if you are upper level leaders, so your focus is mainly on future of the company and focusing on big pictures. So don't go into the field and chasing the day-to-day operations. While if you are a middle or frontline leaders, your focus is on the issue at hand. So your responsibilities are to execute the plan, the strategy, and encourage the team. So if you don't know your role and you don't play it properly, the chance of success will become very low. So that's my suggestion.
Wow, very insightful. Thank you very much, Mr. Appywood. The next question I have is for Jean-Francois. Jean-Francois, what do you do when the team's energy is low?
Oh, thank you very much for the question. So relevant, I believe, right? And it can happen a lot this time. So I'll say two things. First thing is acknowledge it, right? Have a talk with the team about it. Say, guys, I feel our energy is not at its usual high level here. Some things need to happen. Let's discuss what needs to happen for us to take back our energy to a good level, right? And then you open that safe brainstorming again, like along the lines we mentioned earlier on in the call. And the second thing I want to say is our next webinar, which is next week, Thursday, 3rd of September, is exactly focused on that very topic of enhancing the energy of your people in crisis time. And we'll have a great guest, and I'll talk briefly about this next episode, and you'll find many ways to take the energy of your team to the next level. And with this, we've reached all the time we have for Q&A, unfortunately, and we're going to go on with the show, but not before thanking again Appywood for your invaluable expertise and your so inspiring metaphor about the world of football and its translation into the world of business. It's such an honor and such a pleasure to have you on the show, Appywood. Thank you very much. Khop kun mากนะครับ And from Q&A, we go into our quick recap. And just before we do that, I want to signal to you that Teddy has written in the chat box the link to the slide deck, so you can download it and then discuss it with the team, right? So first, make brainstorming safe and collaborative, and then highlight team members' unique talents and make them shine along those sessions where you catalyze collective intelligence of your team, and then define the problem you're trying to solve in different ways, as we've explained before, right? And then activate right brains that will inject so much creativity in your teamwork. Stand up and move, especially when you get stuck, and then magically new ideas will pop up in your brains, right? And you can do that face to face, and you can do that remotely just the same. And eventually, let fears and unmet needs be heard in this crisis time and transform them into actionable insights. And keep in mind that we can all be better team players along these medals of increasing values, right, for collaborative behaviors. And then also we can always be more agile as leaders by doing more of these different behaviors or features that I've put together to the bottom right of the slide. And it's a good thing to discuss with your team members how they can take their act to the next level in terms of being collaborative and being agile. And with this, here's a special reward, and that one of a conductor, orchestra conductor, that really mastered the catalysis of collective intelligence in his musicians in the service of beauty. And here is how he's conducting his orchestra. Look at how he's enjoying the thing. Great leadership, great rewards. And now a quick update. I'm happy to share that my CoTeam Masterclass for Leaders is starting on September 22nd at the 4th edition this year. Many leaders from the around the world will sign up and will together work out how they can be even more effective in how they coach their people and their teams. So my invitation is, of course, for you to join the party and enjoy. And you can get a discount by using the promo code STAMINA and just learn more about this masterclass on the teamoperformance.com/masterclass link. Now, this series is for you, and you know that, and you choose what we'll focus on. And as always, my invitation is let us know what challenges you'd like insight and tips about, and then we'll try our best to bring them to you. All right. Now, what's up next? Next week, Thursday, 3rd of September, at the very same time, I have the joy of inviting a very special guest, Nanong Chalin, who is a VP People at Tokopedia, to join us and talk about motivating teams in times of crisis. Tokopedia, you know, is an outstanding company, sometimes called the Amazon of Indonesia, fast growing, really remarkable. And Mr. Chalid has awesome experience in leadership development and motivation, and it will be great to hear from him. And I'll also have my own tips and practical insights for you to try out there. And then on 17th of September, another joy will be to invite Miss Isabelle Larcher, who is the managing director of Timo Performance, an outstanding HR consulting company. And she'll tell us about very, very interesting results they've got from research on how to make the best from our new ways of working. There are, again, lots of practical tips that can make a great difference in these difficult times in the businesses we are running. And with this, I'd love to just share on this slide all the links you can register to participate to the next webinars, and then share 4 gifts with you as always, right? One is an article from Harvard Business Review about how to brainstorm remotely, very insightful. Another one is, my latest article for Forbes that I mentioned previously. And then an article I wrote about 9 leadership tips for an agile organization. I hope you enjoyed it. And eventually a video that is really fun to watch and is using the metaphor of basketball and classical music to really show how people can play so well all together when they help each other play at their best. Now, with and we could not finish without a quote from Albert Einstein that we brought so often today on the show, right? We shall need a substantially new way of thinking if humanity is to survive. That was something he said in 1954, and that is certainly even more true today. And with collective intelligence and shared values, we can all move the planet and the society we live in to a better place. With this, I really want to thank you wholeheartedly and offer my apologies for having taken way more of your time than I had promised I would, right? So thank you for staying so long. I'll do better time management next time, I promise, right? I want to wish you all the very best and a lot of joy as you unleash more and more collective intelligence around you and continue to unleash your greatness. All the best, and see you in 1 week time on Thursday, the 3rd of September.